and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 2 of Game Chat with Tom and Lucas. I'm Tom,
And I'm Lucas.
and how are we doing today, my good friend? What's going on?
We are doing probably the best we've been doing since the podcast started.
Oh, really? That's always
Yeah,
good to hear.
morale is at an all-time high. Feelings of joy in the air. It's really been a good last few days here.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it, dude. I'm so glad to hear it. Um, but yeah, we just want to take a quick moment before we dive into things to thank all you wonderful listeners who have chimed in to our wonderful show so far. It's been really encouraging to see that people are actually listening to this, which is definitely pretty cool. So yeah, just thank you guys. Definitely keep listening. We're gonna keep making posts on our Instagram at GameChat_Tom Lucas. Definitely give us a follow on that, and if you get a chance, drop a comment, give us some feedback. Let us know what you've been thinking. You know, maybe suggestions, ideas. We're growing, we're in this with y'all, so we just want to hear what you got to say. Anything you got on that note, Lucas?
I would say much of the same. It's definitely been encouraging to see that outside support starting to creep in the last couple episodes, and yeah, I mean it's definitely a great place to interact because it's not like we're live streaming these podcasts to people, so that's really the one
This is
and
true.
and
This
only
is true.
time we can get that feedback and see what people have to say about what we're doing, and
Yeah.
it is encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. We're thinking of making some posts just solely as a way to facilitate that kind of feedback. Share ideas, leave comments, that kind of thing. But, you know, if you follow us on that Instagram, you'll see that on Friday we were able to put out a schedule for our coming episodes for the rest of this month. It's looking like we're gonna try to get these out like every other Friday, so by the time you're hearing this, the next one will be out by the 28th of May. So keep on the lookout for that, but I think we're gonna try to, for now at least, stick with that rotation of one every other week or so. Um, but yeah, definitely give us a follow. Again, it's at GameChat_Tom Lucas on Insta. But you know, on that note, let's preheat this oven. What we got going on. What's the puff pastry looking like? Tell us what's happening in your life, Lucas. Anything cool going on lately?
I There was a pretty major development this week, actually.
Some would say. I agree.
Yeah. So, well, do you wanna give the
This is all
backstory here,
you.
because I kind of have to credit this to you in part. Um,
No. It's all you. Take the lead.
all right. So I guess I can summarize. So the last 6 months or so have been pretty hard. Uh, you know, getting a console, I should say, aside from COVID. Um, getting that next generation, PS5 specifically, has been a struggle. There's been a lot of events that I have attended where it seems like there were like 5 consoles available for like 1,000 people, and more, and these always ended in heartbreak and disgust, and really just demoralized me in the process of. I didn't think it was going to be this hard, but those damn semiconductors, man, just they just
They'll
weren't
really get you.
they weren't
Them
available
computer
to make
chips.
these consoles. I didn't foresee this being an issue, but it's been a problem, and I was getting to the point where it was like, all right, like I might be giving up on this pretty soon. But you know what? Tom Hubbard is just he's just a perseverant guy. He never gives up, never quits. He's got a lot of fight in him, and
Shout out
he just
perseverance.
had probably a bunch of notifications and accounts he was following and getting all these updates on when things are dropping and when things are available. And he stumbled across a Best Buy offer for a PS5 digital edition with an extra controller, and he just added that to his cart so fast that
Oh,
they had to give it to him. They couldn't say out of stock. He was so quick with it.
the fastest thumbs this side of the Mississippi, some would say. In
Some would
fact.
say, I would say, but Tom got this in his cart, got the confirmation, and immediately called me up to we shared a cry. It was great. It was really kind of made my day. It's only
It
been
was a
2
touching
days.
moment.
I'm still feeling giddy about it, but just to know that that's secured and the
That
search
bag is
is
coming,
over.
son. That bag is coming.
It is. I will wait for it with great joy and not.
Yeah, by the time this is out, you'll probably only be a week out.
A week out.
Well, you'll definitely probably have gotten the controller
Oh well,
when this
that's
posts.
that's great. Just what I want.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Best Buy. I mean, that's what happened with me when I did mine because I did the same thing when I got mine initially. I got just the system and an extra controller, but my extra controller came first. And I
Mm.
don't know, man. Like it's neat to hold. Have you held one? Have you held the next generation, Lucas?
No, I haven't even.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna open that bitch right up and toy around with it.
Yeah, I guess I'll do a test run with it.
Oh
Just
yeah,
kind of
definitely.
get a feel for it and imagine all of the moments that will be captured in the coming months.
Definitely. Yeah, shout out at Wario64 on Twitter. Hooks it up with all the great deals and timed notifications of when you can buy these like needle in a haystack next gen consoles. But if you have persistence and you make lots of different accounts with lots of different retailers online, you can certainly get one. It's there. They are still there and get put out every now and again. I had to do something similar for myself pretty recently. One of my favorite bands, Glass Animals, dropped some tickets for a North American tour, and me and my brother, the homie Trevor, shout out at TrevBook, um, we managed to both snag some tickets. So we're gonna go see these guys twice. Once at the end of August this summer, in Brooklyn, New York. So we'll be down kind of around your way if you feel like coming into the city to go see a concert, because Trev's gonna be living out there at that point. He's moving out to the city.
Hmm.
Um, and then March of next year on St. Patrick's Day, actually, him and his girlfriend are gonna fly on out to see me and Paige, and we're gonna go see them in Minneapolis on St. Patty's Day, and hopefully by then they'll be having block parties in the streets again. Who knows? Who knows? Also got fully vaxxed recently, this week. That second shot really takes it out of you, huh?
Yeah, I got my second dose on the I think it was the 27th. Um,
Hmm.
but uh, but
Oh,
yeah,
so you were 1 week before me.
I was not feeling too good from that one. First dose wasn't bad at all, but yeah, the second one really was
Can really do you in, honestly. It
yeah,
knocks you out.
not feeling good for those like 24 hours.
But hey, man, now we're inoculated and such. So
I know. Now we can.
we're
I've been saying we can cough on babies, and
yeah, we're
no one can have an
basically
issue with it.
we're basically invincible. So this is an open invitation to all our lovely listeners out there. If anybody's trying to spit in our mouths,
No, no, no.
do some
No,
cool
Tom.
COVID
We are the
stuff.
ones that are supposed to be spitting and coughing.
Doesn't it work both ways?
Yeah, but I'd rather. I don't want to. I'd rather reverse the role. Like, I didn't get this vaccination so I could get spit on.
That's that's fair.
I want to do the spitting. But
Oh,
let's not
definitely.
scare our listeners away.
That's what they come for, Lucas. Talking about swapping
Yes,
saliva
game
with
chat with Tom and
other
Lucas
humans.
is all about the
All about the spit
yeah.
swapping. Oh my god. Well, facts. Well, what you been playing lately, homie? Anything new? You still kind of grinding the same stuff? I
Pretty
know you
much.
got that Ratchet and Clank. I
I
know Travis sent you that game.
He did. He also sent me a note um, along with it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
should I
okay.
read the contents of said note live?
Yeah, I think you should absolutely do that.
All right. So he folded up real nice, just a piece of scrap paper, and it says
Pen or pencil. That's important.
pen or pencil. Well, see, it could be it's it's not ink, but it could be one of those like mechanical pens. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like if I don't know if Travis is a man of high prestige and like that's like what he rolls with, but yeah, it's it says your mom, LOL, and then there's a smiley face, and
That's it.
that's it. That is the note. So, uh, I mean,
Okay.
my mom is not funny at all. Sorry, mom. She did,
Oh
she
wow.
didn't she didn't give she
That
never
is
got the funny gene, and she didn't give it to myself and my sister.
yikes.
That's courtesy of my dad.
Yikes.
So yeah, you got to get your facts checked there, Travis. Um,
Okay.
but
Well,
shout
shout out
out
Lucas's
to
dad.
yeah, shout out to my dad for being funny, and shout out to Travis for sending me this game that might be featured on the podcast in the future. Wink, wink.
Certainly will be at this point. But yeah, you can find our boy at TravHub, TravHub 46 on Instagram. He wanted me to shout him out. So there's your shout out. Thank you for sending him that game. And I look forward to you getting into that game, dude. It's pretty solid. I'm almost finished with the remake myself. I keep thinking I'm hitting a point where that game's gonna end, and then it never ends. It just keeps going, which is fine by me because it's a lot of fun, and I just keep getting more ridiculous weapons, which is totally cool. But it's pretty up there. But what else you been getting into?
Um, Nothing really new. It's pretty much the same old stuff. Playing Warzone with people when when work allows it. Um, that's kind of the extent of my gaming with friends still. And then
Hmm.
I have been playing 2K12 my player mode. I had a really rough week last week. All the point guards on my team got injured in like a 2 game
Oh
span.
no.
So
Oh
I don't think
no.
that's ever happened before in the history of sports. But yeah, so pretty that was pretty rough. But we're fighting through it. Some players are getting healthy, but
Oh my lord.
it was yeah, not too good.
Okay. Well, I wish your team luck. It sounds like they don't have that much luck,
I
but
think I feel like we've had so much bad luck at this point that I think it's just going to be smooth sailing the rest of the way. And now that I've said that,
and
it's probably not. It's probably not going to be good.
well, hey, at least the attitude's there. That's what wins championships, attitudes.
Yeah, just attitudes, man.
That's it. That's it.
All you need. Have if you have some attitude, you're fine.
Well, let me ask you this. Now that you have a sweet old PS5 coming your way in sometime this month. Are there any new games that are going to be coming your way that you foresee going for that aren't obviously just God of War and games you've already played that you'll have access to? Because you do get that PS Plus collection, which is very very nice.
Right.
Just gives you a ton of games right off the bat to work with that will be pretty much all new to you, seeing as how you haven't been in the PlayStation ecosystem.
That's true. That is true. So yeah, I definitely won't be like getting anything new just because I'll have so much to work with that like bundle of stuff that I haven't played, at least majority of it haven't gotten around to. So I'll definitely be uh, dabbling with that content. But I got to tell you, I think God of War is still going to be the first
Oh my
game
god, dude.
that I
Oh,
I
you know
have
what?
to play through it before the sequel comes out this year, and I'm still
It's
not
not,
sure
dude.
when it's
It's
coming out.
not. They have said literally next to nothing about that game. You don't have to boot up the old God of War until there's like at least a release date or anything more than a very small logo tease
No, they did that
about the
already.
next game. That's it. That's all
They
they've
did,
done.
but it had 2021.
That's not a release date, bro.
That's a year though. It's coming out this year, Tom, which means I have to play through the
Oh
the
my
the
god.
prequel twice through before that game comes out. So if it doesn't come out
Oh
till
my gosh.
December, then I'll play through and then have some months to do other stuff. But if they surprise, if boom, it's coming out in 2 months, like I gotta get on my horse and ride that game into the ground.
You know what I think I will do actually, now that I'm thinking about it, cuz I have to the PS5 I got you is for whatever reason store pickup only, so I have to pick that up on Thursday and then like actually mail it to you. I think I might send Spider-Man Miles Morales with it cuz I've already like played that game to death, like 100%ed it, platinumed it, new game plus, the whole 9 yards. So, I know you also enjoyed uh Spidey
Spider-Man.
2018, so I will definitely send that your way as well. And that's a relatively short one too, because it's not like a full
Right, it's like
length
it's not a
game. If
full
that,
game, it's not a DLC, it's somewhere in between.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So
Is that a
I'll
disc?
definitely.
Because I'm not gonna have a disc
Oh,
slot.
right. Never mind. Guess I can't do that.
Thinking
Whoops.
ahead of yourself. It's all right.
God damn it. I'm not going to criticize the choice to hop on digital. It doesn't really make sense for you to spend an extra $100 when you
for
don't actually
yeah,
own any
for discs
discs.
that I don't have.
But as my stuffy, stuck up, holding on to the past self wants to do, I'm going to judge you silently for helping contribute to the overall decline and cease in physical media. So, screw you,
I
sir.
mean, hey, I prefer discs. Like for the Xbox One, all everything but Warzone, which didn't have a disc version, I've gotten um, like a physical copy for. Just I mean, mainly because it takes up way less like storage space. But uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
have any discs for the PS4, so I
true,
figured I figured
true.
why not. But I mean, it might bite me in the ass a couple years from now, but
Hmm.
we'll see. I'll probably still be playing God of War, so
Oh my lord. I mean, that is the nice part about it though, is like now like you can pretty much go completely digital and you never really have to like order games or like wait for games to show up and things like that. It's just like, oh, I can
yeah,
get this as fast as my internet allows me.
that is a benefit. And honestly, I don't have much more like disk storage space because I'm
That's
definitely
fair.
I haven't thrown out like any games that I've ever had going back to the PS2, and I don't really intend
Oh, dude,
intend
same.
to. So yeah. So I'll be able to keep those around and not have to make any tough decisions.
There you go. There you go. Well, before we move on, I just wanna shout out this game that's finally coming out this month that I certainly will be getting. Definitely on PC, I think, because I don't believe it has a next gen version coming out at the moment, or like an upgrade for it. But there's this game called Biomutant. Have you like seen or heard of that at all?
I have not actually.
Oh, dude, definitely check that out. It looks pretty cool. It's you essentially like play as these tiny little rodent things that have been like genetically and technologically mutated and like enhanced, and you play as these little tiny raccoon, red panda, rodent, cyborg ninja wizard things, and it's like this huge crazy open world game, and oh my god, it looks so good. And the thing is, and you can get little like crickets and insects and all these different things as familiars and little partners, and the combat looks really cool. It just looks like a fun, interesting game, and it's a rather small studio. I can't remember the developers for it off the top of my head, but this game was announced back in like, oh, I don't even know, 2017, and it's finally coming out on the 25th of this month. So I'm getting very, very excited for that. So we'll see how it goes. Um, I played a bit of it in PAX East 2020, and I enjoyed myself. But definitely excited about that one, and I'll be checking that out. And also the new Ratchet and Clank come June, but that's a little while away. Definitely look into Biomutant though, dude. It looks pretty sweet, and well, I guess you could get it and play it on your PS5. Yeah, because I think you should. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. You're able to also just download PS4 games once you get it, so makes sense to me. Are there any PS4 games off the top of your head you're gonna look into that are not God of War?
uh, I guess I'll have to poke around. I mean, PS4 specifically. Yeah, I wasn't paying too much attention, I guess, because I just didn't have the hardware. Um, I started like learning more about it when I had access to your PS4, and that was, uh, it's 2018 about. So, I mean that
Well,
and
the good
Spider-Man I played.
news. Well, the good news is, you know, we'll have plenty of opportunities to discuss some of the great PlayStation franchises and games they got out there once we hit our meat and potatoes section of this pot pie, if you will. But
That is,
before we
yeah,
get there,
that is true.
exactly. Before we get there, been some interesting stuff in the news lately. One thing I saw that I thought was pretty sweet that I think is going to make, you know, it's also going to lead into this conversation a little bit, but PlayStation has partnered with Discord and has bought I think like a minority share in in Discord or something like that. But essentially, they haven't really specified yet what that's going to look like. But hopefully, you'd imagine it's just they finally bring a Discord client onto consoles, specifically PlayStation. And if it had to be one, I'm 100,000% glad it is PlayStation. Because as you know, we can have a lot of issues when we're trying to play crossplay games with friends and things like that, where it isn't always the most prudent, um, isn't always the best experience trying to like handle Discord on your phone when you're playing with different people and trying to hear your game audio and all that nonsense. So I'm pretty excited to see what that's gonna mean. I don't know. What do you think about that? Or did you see that? Like,
I saw it in your script. Uh,
well,
um, I
really?
mean, based on what you're saying, I'm definitely excited just because yeah, Discord is like the primary way that we'll play cross-platform stuff. Just because um, game chat's not always the best thing, but it definitely the main downside is you got to wear a headset and like earbuds, and it really just beats your ears up after a while. Just a lot of weight that they have to deal with. So I'll definitely take, uh, a one device fits all method. So
Yeah.
definitely
Anything that
beneficial.
anything that makes crossplay like easier is fine by me. Anything you catch in the news?
Yeah. So I know we've been kind of praising Sony here with our love for the PS5, but they had an instant situation in the news this week where they're getting sued, man. Lawsuit is coming.
Tell me.
So they're basically being accused of having a unlawful monopoly because I'm not sure why this is coming out now, but they
Oh, I think
stopped
I did see this. Yeah.
stopped allowing third-party realtors to sell download codes for PlayStation games starting in 2019. So now they're being accused of you know like I said, unlawful monopoly, where the PlayStation Store is the only source for getting digital PlayStation games, and it's estimated that people are paying as much as 175% more for these downloadable games than they would have if they had gotten it through a third party vendor. So uh, this literally came out like
Interesting.
2 or 3 days ago, so it's still really in the early stages of development in this story. But yeah, so I
Hmm.
guess that'll be something to watch out for in the coming months to see what the decision is on that.
That's kind of interesting too because it's like, yeah, I guess that you really can't get digital games anywhere. I kind of ran into this issue when I was getting my siblings a like I tried for Christmas this past year. I tried to We still haven't done it, which makes me really sad because I just have this copy of this game just sitting on my PlayStation. But I got all my siblings a copy of Borderlands 3. Because, you know, Trevor at the time didn't. He had just gotten a PS5, but I had already bought him a game for the game for the PS4 until by that point. Travis has a PS4, and then I also sent my sister my PS4 because I didn't need it anymore, and now she got it at school, and it apparently doesn't work at all, which love that. Absolutely love that. It just like it turns on, but she essentially gets like the blue light of death, I guess. Um, but it's weird because like, you know, Borderlands 3 was essentially on sale everywhere, but getting a digital code for PlayStation for it cuz I had wanted to get Trevor one because I know he prefers digital games either way and I know he was looking for a PS5. Um, but he just like for some reason it was still $60 on the PlayStation Network, and you couldn't buy a PlayStation digital code anywhere else. But I'm like, okay, why am I going to spend $60 for a digital version of this when I can buy a physical copy for $15 from Target or Best Buy or Amazon or literally anywhere else? So that is definitely interesting that that's finally coming around to bite them a little bit, I gotta say. Cause that definitely can halt the competition, I guess. I don't really like. I don't know. I don't really think. I can't imagine like how they're ripping off consumers is the main point, but
Mm.
like, do you know who's suing them? Is it the other retailers or is it like the FTC or something? Like,
Let me. It says
if you don't, it's no big
consumers,
deal.
so I guess it's
Okay.
like
Well, that
it. I'll give you the
at
case. The
least it's on
case
the behalf of the
is Sony
consumers.
Interactive Entertainment LLC versus, I don't even know how to say this person's name. Kakuri. So I
Okay.
guess they might be like the main person for the lawsuit, but it sounds like it's like a group of people and not it's not like a company or anything like that.
All right. Well,
So yeah, I guess it's the consumers of Sony versus Sony. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, hey, if it makes games cheaper, I'm all for it, you know?
Facts.
Cuz I keep spending way too much money on them regardless. Oh man. Um yeah, anything else you see that you thought was pretty interesting? Just quickly, the Apple versus Epic trial. If you don't know what that is, like there's more kind of platform monopoly stuff. Like Apple had gotten into this huge legal battle with Epic because they took Fortnite off of the App Store. Um, and apparently, this trial is just revealing all these crazy secrets about the industry and the industry giants. Like all these internal documents keep getting leaked by like from Microsoft and from Sony. Like I guess I read somewhere that people have the ability to call in to the trial, and seeing as how it's all a bunch of gamers, that to me like just doesn't seem like a good move, but whatever. But like a ton of stuff I guess is getting leaked in that. One thing of note that I thought was pretty funny is how like unwilling Sony was to allow Fortnite crossplay at at the get go. They're like, "Oh no, we'll let you put Fortnite on PlayStation, but like we really don't want crossplay to be a thing." So to me, that makes the Discord thing even more interesting to me because it's like, oh, okay, well, are you turning a heel? Are you turning a cheek?
Yeah, yeah. I guess there wouldn't be as much incentive to use Discord if everybody is like on the same console.
Yeah,
So
exactly, exactly.
yeah, a little strange, I guess.
Definitely, I'd have to say so. But yeah, you see anything else? Cool.
So Tom, I'm not gonna lie, the main news gaming related for this week is the PS5 is coming my way. That
I
is
mean, that's totally fair. That's
that
totally fair.
yeah.
That would.
Anything else is kind of irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Uh, just for this week, just for this week, and after this week, the other gaming news will have some substance to it. But until then, I'm getting a PS5, and that is
I
pretty
understand.
newsworthy. That's the headline, man.
All right. Well, in that case, let's move into the meat and potatoes of this pot pie. So our topic for this episode is the console wars. Where are they now? What has happened? Lucas, you want to give us a little bit of a. We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Anchor. Are you a fan of podcasts? Ever feel like trying it out for yourself? With Anchor, it could not be any easier. If you haven't heard about it, it's the most seamless and easy to use tool out there to get you started on your podcasting journey. Anchor helps bring your show to the next level. Anchor can distribute your podcast for you, making it available on all major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you could possibly think of. Anchor comes equipped with creation tools as well, which allows you to record and edit your podcast all from your phone or computer, making it easy to do while on the fly. It can also help you get paid. That's right, paid through sponsors like this one, all without a minimum listenership, which helps those who are just starting out like ourselves. And the best part is, it is 100% free to use. I'm very serious when I say this, ladies and gentlemen. It is 100% free. It's everything you could ever need to start a podcast of your own, all in one easy to use and convenient place. To access it, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM or the Anchor app on your mobile device. I couldn't recommend it enough, ladies and gentlemen. We wouldn't be doing this without it. It's helped us start our journey, and maybe it can help you start yours too. Thank you for listening. Now back to the show. A rundown of what we're going to be discussing today.
Sure, yeah, I'll give a little synopsis here. So, obviously, when you're talking about the console wars, you can't have that discussion without talking about platform exclusivity. and games being on one console, not the other, or one console at one time, and then there's like a port or delay development for another console, and how that kind of impacts the console wars at large. And then we're also going to get a little personal on here and talk about our shared history for you know, previous platforms and kind of where we stand on that and our experiences with those. And then we can you know, bring it around to today and just talk about the Sitch nowadays and see what's going on in what is the current state of the console wars.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's a pretty good discussion, like just to briefly get into the history of this, obviously we can go way, way back to, you know, the earlier, more what you would call retro video game times where, you had all these other different developers involved, like Sega and Atari, and, Nintendo was the much bigger, like, dog in that fight back then. But, we're primarily going to be focusing on the sort of newer, relatively current dynamic that had been, you know, PlayStation versus Xbox, and then a little bit of Nintendo's stake in that as well. Like we grew up, you were either one or the other. You were either on Xbox Live or you had PlayStation. It sort of dictated pretty much like a lot of who your friends were, who you were hanging out with after school, playing video games with, Call of Duty and the whatnot, as we kind of discussed last episode. But it would constantly be a topic of debate about which one was better. Lots of in the popular culture sphere, that was kind of the the question to answer. And as I mentioned earlier with those retro ideas, you saw this way, way back. It's been a thing that's happened since video games even came to be. A particular war was between, Sega and Nintendo for a while, and then you had PlayStation come in and also kind of flip everything on its head. But, you know, like Lucas said, a lot of that had to do, at least for me, with console exclusivity. And at the end of the day, it's much better to just get the platform that's got the better games. And to me, PlayStation has always had those better games. I don't know, Lucas, you're only going to be very new to the PlayStation ecosystem. So, what's your take on that? Like being an Xbox guy in the past.
My take on PlayStation having the better games.
I mean,
Is that
that's
what?
just an objective fact,
Oh
but
man. Um, I mean, I don't really have a take, I guess, just because my reasoning for getting, you know, the 360 and Xbox One. I mean, the 360 was literally like that was just what my friends had. It wasn't a like a, you know, it was for a Microsoft like exclusive game, because COD was available on both consoles. So
definitely,
so
definitely.
yeah, it was literally like there was no crossplay. So if I wanted to play with my friends, I had to get the 360. So
Yeah,
that was the reason for that. And then the Xbox One was literally like seemed like the next logical thing, where like I moved from the 360 to the newer Xbox, and a lot of my friends did as well. And again, like crossplay wasn't really a thing, so it wasn't like for a specific game. Whereas like the reason I'm switching over to PlayStation now is, if you can't tell, for the new God of War franchise, because that is,
no, really, I
yeah,
I never would have guessed.
yeah. So you know, Santa Monica is, you know, is a Sony property and is exclusive, you know, is exclusive to Sony products. So you know, that's the
Shout out
only way I can get a
PlayStation
piece of that.
Studios.
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that had a lot to do with it too. At least, back in the day, is that multiplayer aspect. Like that's kind of what Xbox was known for. It's like Xbox Live was where you played multiplayer games. That was kind of in the popular sphere, like what was thought of. If you're, jumping into Call of Duty and screaming at 12-year-olds and all that nonsense and all that jazz, Xbox Live kind of had that, headspace dominated. And it's not like PlayStation didn't have their own online gaming platform. And in fact, I still even think it was better because it was also free until, the PS4 days. While you had to pay for Xbox Live, which I always thought was silly, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, I think that's why I drifted towards PlayStation 2 was for the games because Xbox, like kind of like you mentioned, other than like Halo, which also was huge for multiplayer aspects, but PlayStation has those like core franchises, I feel, those core icons, those core series that really keep bringing people back. I don't know. Like do you have a lot in terms of Xbox, like you said, I don't really think you do, but they have like Fable and stuff like that, but I always leaned way more towards PlayStation just due to the availability of games. Like what did you I guess like pre 360, like were you mainly like did you have like the initial Xbox? Did you have well, I know you got a PS2 now, so I guess what were you pre kind of online gaming days?
So pre playing online with friends, I just had the PlayStation 2. That was my first console. Like I didn't have the original PlayStation or the original Xbox or like a GameCube or any of that. That was the first gaming console I had, and that wasn't even like I think I just got that like one random like Christmas as a kid. Like it wasn't like
Mhm.
an active decision to get it. It was just kind of dropped on me. So yeah, there wasn't really thought put into that. Um, but I mean, I wasn't even aware of like the different options like back then at the time. Like this is like, oh, this is what I want to play, like how I can play games like this device.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
um, yeah, it wasn't until like online came into effect where it was like, oh, like I can play with other people if I get this console. So then that was like, it seemed pretty cut and dry to me in terms of like making a decision. But yeah, PlayStation 2 was literally just like something I had a
Well,
lot of
see
good
right
games for it.
there, right?
Like I got lucky. I mean, I don't know if I got uh, lucky with the games I got, or if just the games that ended up being good and popular, like that are still uh, well received to this day, were just being marketed. So that's what like family members bought me. But yeah,
Mhm.
so definitely
Mhm.
wasn't like a waste of a console because I still have a lot of stuff for that still holds up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I've always been in the PlayStation ecosystem. I've had access to literally every single one at this point. Yeah. And also Nintendo, but like, when I had those sort of moments, you know, growing growing up with those different franchises that like kept me coming. It was like, you know, my dad owned the PS1 and the PS2, like and the PS3 when I initially started playing it. So like, to me it kind of just made sense and that was kind of what I grew up on. It's like, okay, I'm in this PlayStation family. I'm just going to keep getting these games. So when it came time for me to like start purchasing my own games, purchasing my own hardware, it was like, oh, I've been playing PlayStation games my whole formative like years with this. So like I'm just going to keep playing these franchises that I already love, things like, you know, Ape Escape way back on the PS1, Crash Bandicoot, my favorite series of all time, which was initially just a PlayStation exclusive, was Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically was my jam. Like nothing to me was crazier than watching weird anime JRPG characters team up with Donald and Goofy. Like that was the best to me. And now I'm an immense fan of that series, but then you had Infamous on the PS3. That was even better. Like, have you ever heard of Infamous?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, dude, that game. Oh, shout out. I believe it's Sucker Punch, but yeah, all those games are spectacular, dude. It's just it's the best like superhero game that wasn't like a prior property, I guess if that makes sense. Like a licensed one, like a Batman or like a Spider-Man type thing. Oh, even, and then you go into PS4 and you got all these different, you got Uncharted, you get The Last of Us, more Ratchet and Clank, like, but that's kind of what I'm talking about is like as I was like trying to recall these different franchises that I like, you know, stood out to me, I realized like, okay, so I've played a Ratchet and Clank game on pretty much every system since it came out. Same with, Uncharted. Like that started in PS3, I went on to play it and then play them all again on PS4. Like, we'll see we'll see what happens come PS5, but even The Last of Us, Last of Us initially was PS3, then Last of Us 2 was PS4 and they remastered it for it. So, it definitely the the exclusivity of franchises definitely like was important to me going through it, if you will.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. What about Nintendo? Like, because I know you said you had a Wii, so like, did
Oh,
you
I
have
did.
any?
I never consider that part of like the because that was
It's weird, and we'll get into this when we sort of diverge from our personal experiences and sort of talk about the state of this debate today. But like, Nintendo's kind of always been on like the outside fringe of this, you know,
Mhm.
at least in terms of the modern consoles, contemporary
Yeah.
console wars.
Um, I mean, and I also like I know like kids growing up who like the Wii was their only console, and so like to them, like it's probably more of like a mainstay. But like when I had my like I got a Wii after I got the 360, and so it was always kind of like secondary in my mind, where it's like my main games are going to be on this, but like we had exclusive stuff, I guess, like very different type of games, as opposed to like other uh the other consoles. Like I actually enjoyed multiplayer in person more, like for the Wii. Um,
Well, exactly, because
so
it's geared towards a whole different set of
right,
like,
um,
yeah.
yeah, like so playing like the like early like Mario like sports games, like Super Sluggers and like Strikers, which was baseball and soccer respectively. Um,
Oh, dude, I loved both of
yeah,
those.
like that, and then like Wii Sports Resort. There were probably some other those like the main ones I remember, but there were some other um, things on there as well that kind of fit the genre. So I mean, it definitely had like its place in the market, and I
Hmm.
feel like it's probably the same today where Switch, like, yes, there aren't as many like games for it, but the exclusives that are on it are definitely worth it. Like I wouldn't say it's a worse gaming platform per se. um it's just it doesn't have access to as many things, and like I think they're probably good in like the marketplace that they're in, because there's so much stuff that they have access to that no
Well,
one else has.
Switch is like a whole nother level,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing with Nintendo. Like they're kind of they sort of s- spin on what their like space in the market is like with every iteration. I guess not really the Wii U, but everybody forgets about the Wii
I
U,
yeah,
I guess.
I when did that even come out?
That was in between the Wii and the Switch, bro. That's the thing cuz everybody thought Nintendo was like done after that because it was pretty much the Wii came out and then it was the 3DS and the Wii U for a very long time. And they like Mario Kart 8 obviously is like still like one of the best-selling racing games of all time, if not the best. Uh and that came out on the Wii U, but at this point it's also just been ported to Switch. You know, Smash Ultimate is pretty much riding off of the basis of what Smash on the Wii U was, and by that extension as well the 3DS. But yeah, the Nintendo, like I love my Nintendo, dude. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm a ride or die Nintendo fan. Very big into all their first party stuff, and that's kind of their game, right? It's like they have so much that they don't really need to focus on like third party developers and stuff like that in the way that like Sony or Microsoft would need to, because it's like, oh, like, nah, man, we'll just give you another Mario Golf and you peasants will be satisfied. Or it's like, we'll emulate three really old Mario games and sell it at a limited time release for $60. And what do you know? Mad people bought that game, like myself included. So they know, and then Pokemon is a. We could do an entire episode on Pokemon and just Nintendo in general, but yeah, Nintendo's a whole nother space. But that kind of brings us to what the status of this phenomenon is today. And before I kind of go into like my take on it, like what I want to hear what you got to say about it. Like where do you feel or think based on, your experience with these consoles in the past and their exclusives, um like based on that and your knowledge of what's going on today, like where do you think this console war is at? Like what's its status? What's its state?
So I guess if we're just talking like Xbox versus PlayStation, right?
Yeah, but keep Nintendo in there
Keep
too.
Nintendo in
Keep
there.
Nintendo in there. Cuz they're like Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. Those are the consoles.
Right.
PC too, and obviously they got like streaming boxes, and Google Stadia is gonna keep trying and keep trying, but I don't I don't hear anyone who's ever said a good thing ever about Google Stadia. I'm sorry.
Wait, is that a gaming? I thought that was like
It's like a streaming box. It's essentially like a gaming console, but you don't like buy games or download games. You're just streaming them all. It's weird. It's weird.
oh. Huh.
But you
Uh
still buy them. I don't know. I don't know. It's like I think it's like a cheaper alternative is what it's meant to be. It's like, oh, you don't want to spend money on a PlayStation, an Xbox, a Switch, or a PC. It's like, here, this will run all the games. You're just streaming them,
mm.
which I don't know, allows them to be made cheaper, and I don't know, but they're not part of this discussion.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess I'd have to say it seems like um at least for Sony, they seem to have a big focus on like first party developers, at least compared to like the other. I mean, not. I mean, I guess Switch is the same way, but in terms of like compared to Xbox, um, like Naughty Dog has been a big staple for them for many years, and has allowed a lot of like really good exclusives to be produced. The Uncharted series for one, and The Last of Us one was also pretty good. Uh, so they definitely have that advantage there, where they have an established like first party team to get them stuff. Santa Monica had their kind of reemergence with the God of War
hmm
reboot in 2018.
Well, all these studios now are like owned by PlayStation because they're all underneath the umbrella that is PlayStation Studios.
Right. And then in the case of Spider-Man, like Sony has the rights to Spider-Man, like in all like forms of media. So Um,
That's true.
that's kind of a unique situation there, but still allowed for two exclusive games to be made in the last like 2 years.
Yeah,
So
Marvel. Well, when it comes to licensing and Marvel, like they're all over the place because like it's even. I think agreements are different based on like even what form of media like your characters can like appear in because like Spider-Man is going to be in that Marvel's Avengers game eventually, but it's only going to be on PlayStation, so like it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess.
yeah, uh, I don't. I mean, yeah, we'll have to see what's going on there because it's a weird thing where to own like a character, a part of like a greater franchise and universe, like. Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
so yeah, we'll see what's going on there. I mean, the game that they were able to make was pretty good, so I guess it's going okay so far. Uh, but yeah, they definitely, at least what it seems to be, is they have a stronger like first party established. Whereas at least in the last couple of years, like Microsoft has kind of utilized the other side of exclusivity, where they'll do like the timed release of games and just have that like 12 months exclusive deal with like a third party developer. They utilize that for Rise of the Tomb Raider, which even though like that used to be like a PlayStation staple, Microsoft was able to get like the 12 months of only Xbox One releases for that game, which some people were
Mhm.
not too happy
Mhm.
with. Ended up being kind of a bad deal for the developers there because it's estimated that they lost out on like over 100 million in sales.
Oh,
So
that's wild.
yeah, um, so yeah, most of the time, I don't think that really makes sense for developers. Like one instance where it definitely like benefited the developing team was actually Cuphead, because
Okay.
Microsoft basically came to them and was like,
That's true.
"Hey, you guys are like a small team of like 3 people. Uh, we really like what you're doing here. We will like financially back the development of this and allow you guys to kind of bring your vision to fruition, as well as like advertise the shit out of this game to like try to get as much hype for it as possible. But you gotta like only develop it for us." And in that instance, like, I mean, that made a lot of sense just because you had a smaller team, a smaller budget. And that game like
Mhm.
wouldn't have been, the developers even admitted like this would have been a much smaller, like less polished game like without their financial backing. Uh, and it
Yeah,
ended up
definitely.
being released for other consoles as well. It just took a while because they had the exclusive deal in place for like the first
Yeah.
year or whatever. So I mean, it benefited everyone kind of long term because even though non Xbox users couldn't get it right away, they when they were able to get it, they got a better game than they would have upon like initial release.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting the way exclusivity plays into it, right? Because it's like broad, at least what I think anyway, like broad strokes, these console wars that used to be such a heated schoolyard topic of debate back in the day are seemingly becoming less and less of a thing. It's like buying a game console now, you have to like actually put some research into it. To me, it's closer to what building a PC is, right? When you build a PC, you have to essentially pick each component and you got to decide what you're building your PC to essentially do, right? Cuz if you want to build a computer but all you're going to do is, work with spreadsheets and like write a novel on it, you can probably better off just buying a laptop or something like a Chromebook. But on the flip side of it, or you could have it for music production or animation or gaming, where it's like, okay, you're going to need different pieces for it. The consoles now and the way the companies behind those consoles are sort of running their ecosystem is so different, and they're starting to spread in their own direction, in that there isn't like that competition almost doesn't seem like it's there anymore. And kind of by that I mean, you know, when you talk about exclusivity, you have Sony, who, like you mentioned, is gaining all these studios that they've traditionally worked with and have always kind of, those exclusives have always been there. Like you said, like Uncharted and The Last of Us, you got Naughty Dog, who's always been a PlayStation studio. You've got Insomniac, who, other than, like Sunset Overdrive, is the only like game I can think of that was a big Insomniac like Xbox like title. Like Insomniac has always been PlayStation, Santa Monica, like you said. Like these studios are all getting bought up, and that's kind of the route that Sony and PlayStation is going, is they are trying to not necessarily make it like the most like, oh hey, buy a PlayStation and this will be the like most convenient console ever. They're still going a more traditional route, which is like, oh hey, like we are going to buy all this talent so we can have these big crazy awesome AAA blockbusters that really really do sell the consoles. Like it, you are the perfect example because it made you switch, simply because you're like, oh well, I really loved this game that I played. I'm not going to get to play that anywhere else if I don't get a PlayStation. So it seems like I have to get a PlayStation. And then you're just introduced into their family of what they have exclusive to their console. You know, um whereas like Microsoft, Xbox, they're doing something completely different. I one thing that I've always told people is I see no real need to buy an Xbox anymore. Just save more money and get a nice gaming PC, because Microsoft is going the route of, hey, let's make it as convenient and as easy to play games wherever the hell you want on whatever the hell you want, be it a mobile device, a gaming PC, or one of their, I don't even know. There's like three different Xbox is now, and they're all terribly named. Can we just pause there for a second? Like, whoever's coming up with the names for these consoles over at Microsoft, come on. You got to try a little harder. Not for like, it's not like PlayStation isn't really doing any better, but at least they're being sequential.
Yeah, I honestly don't even know what the new Xbox is called. I did like
The Series
previously.
X,
Okay.
yeah.
Like I heard it before, but it was so like weird compared to like their history of naming things that it didn't stick. Which probably isn't like great. Uh
Yeah, what? Okay, so let's go down the list, right? You got the Xbox.
right.
Makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Xbox 360. Oh, that's cool.
Right.
That's an interesting name, right? What did they do after that? The Xbox One. Hmm,
Mhm.
that doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they do that. And then, okay, your next one, your slightly more powerful one, the Xbox One X. A lot of X's in there, if you ask me, but I guess it's kind of going like the iPhone model, where it's just like here's the iPhone and then here's the slightly better S or Pro, whatever, and then they just flew the coop because now they have the Series S and the Series X, which it, it's all over the place. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I really think they hit their stride with the 360 in terms of names because it didn't really make sense for why they call it that, but it was still cool. Like it fit the time period. Like 360s are all the rage, man. Like kickflips and
Well,
all that
what if
stuff.
they? Well, they could have even gone. They could have like rebranded, right? What if they went the 360 and then maybe they did the 720, and then like what if they just became X Sphere, and instead of a box, or what is it now, it looks like a fridge. Instead of going the rectangular prism route, why not just make it a big old ball? You know what I'm saying?
Dude, and then you can like carry it on the go, bounce it around with friends, play some hoop, and then like sit
I
down and
mean,
plug it in.
GameCube was kind of like that, you know. GameCube was basically that. But it was a cube instead of a sphere, but it just had a little handle on the back of it. I don't know. Missed opportunity, if you ask me. Um, but diving back in a little bit, like they and their biggest claim to fame right now is Game Pass, and it's possibly the greatest deal in gaming. It's a subscription service. You pay 10-15 bucks a month or whatever, and not only now do you also get EA Play included, but you just get access to all these games on any platform within their ecosystem that you want. And they just keep adding more games each month, you know, and it really, they're not all necessarily the newest titles, but it's like, okay, like you want, you know, you want a lot of games and you don't really want to pay a lot of money. Like, oh, here, pay 10-15 bucks a month and now you have access to more games than you ever absolutely need. Like, period. you know
Hmm.
I have you looked into Games Pass yet? I know we've brought it up a couple of times before, but it really is a solid deal. Like, I have it on PC and I don't actually think I've used it yet. I bought it with the intention of, I think, playing Sea of Thieves, but you know, have you looked into it at all in your Xbox time?
No, not really. I mean, I had like always heard of it, but um, like I guess I knew. I mean, I've known since like 2018. Oh no, not 2018. 20. I get what 2019 was when we lived. We were roommates or housemates. Um,
Mhm.
whatever it was. Like since that time, I knew like I was eventually gonna switch over. So like I kind of stopped looking into like Xbox stuff just because I didn't want to like go back on my decision. I don't want to make it like harder or anything like that. So because I kind of knew what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I hadn't like I had heard people like discuss it, but I didn't know like the details of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It definitely is cool, and I think it also is just a good well of content for us in the future. Like, those are we can find games on there that we can play together. Eventually I'll play Halo. Like, I got access to the Master Chief Collection, which was, you know, probably could have just bought the Master Chief Collection if I really wanted to play Halo that bad, but at the end of the day, I have Game Pass and it is really cool. But it kind of, what I'm trying to say is like that is their market. They want you to get into their ecosystem no matter what your price point is and make it easy for you to play. They have like the whole xCloud thing, which I think is essentially like game streaming to your phone, and I think eventually they're trying to make it so, like, smart TVs will just have an Xbox app, right? And you can just turn on your TV, and if you pay for Game Pass or xCloud or whatever it is, that, okay, I can just connect my controller to the TV. I don't even have to buy an Xbox anymore. I can just sign up for the subscription and play. Whereas PlayStation is the other more traditional route. They're like, yo, we are here to make these big ballsy, like, crazy games that, like, yeah, they're gonna be like $70, but we just know the quality is there. And so far, that's been a very proven strategy. Like Spider-Man, God of War, and The Last of Us 2, and Ghost of Tsushima, like, those are four in my most recent memory that just gangbusters all over the place. Like, so good, so good. Like, critical masterpieces, game of the years type deal. So, like, with that sort of mentality, like, and then with that sort of mentality that they're going in different directions, the it's it seems like the competition is a little less steep. You know what I mean? And then, like, I don't know. Like, I feel if you want to talk about like third party games, like Assassin games you can play on either one, like those don't really seem to be that much of a deal anymore because crossplay is becoming such a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. but and then even Nintendo on the flip side of it, like they're not even competing anymore. They're going for a whole nother section. They want you to have the Switch and play it wherever. They're kind of still doing the thing they've been doing with this family friendly, not even family friendly, but like family oriented type of shtick where it's like, yo, we want you to do couch co-op and we want you to do funky weird things with Mario and also take it on the go. Where are you at with the Switch? What are your thoughts?
I haven't I haven't ever owned it myself, and I don't know if I will. Uh, but I mean, I've definitely liked the Switch games that I've played with friends. Just I mean, it's a different. Everything is so like multiplayer online oriented now that it's kind of nice to get back to like the old days where it's just like 4 people in a room like all playing something
Hmm.
together. So like I've enjoyed Mario Party, and I've played Mario Kart with my sister a bit like on her Switch, um, and Smash obviously is like I would never get Smash just to play like online against other people. Like I think it's so much fun just to play with people in the same room, and
Hmm.
like that element of it's really a good time. I heard Breath of the Wild was fantastic. So
Oh, that game is masterpiece status, Lucas. Like
mm,
that is one of the best games I've ever played. Like that game is so good, dude.
yeah, no, I heard a lot of positive things for it. And then obviously they just have so many like licenses. Like aside from like Zelda and like Mario, they have Pokemon, and they just
Well, it's all in-house, right?
right.
It's sort of what PlayStation does, but they just, you know, they're now PlayStation is now going the Nintendo approach where it's just like, okay, all these different, developers were just gonna like make ours. Nintendo is developing all these crazy Nintendo games. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously they have other developers and stuff in there, but
Right.
it's all coming from the same place.
Right. And yeah, like I said, I think they have their like spot in the gaming market, and it's a unique thing that they have going on. So uh, like I don't think they'll deviate from it too much, just because if they try to be too much like the other consoles, then it's like, well, why what's unique about this device? If it's just going to be like a PlayStation or Xbox like you can take with you, rather than it has the mobile component as well as a bunch of like titles. I mean, Animal Crossing too, like just a ton of stuff that is
Well, that
exclusive to
too,
them.
like you come into it and you see their sales. Like the Switch could very, very legitimately and easily, like they are on the road to very potentially becoming the greatest selling console of all time, which is crazy because you just see all these surges that have popped up during the pandemic of all things, you know, where their space is normally that like, hey, let's get friends together all in the same place and in the same room and let's all play these cool games together. Very party game oriented. But they definitely are sort of like trying their best to stay relevant. Not that I think they need it. Like they certainly are still relevant, but they're quote unquote competing in an interesting way. They're sort of playing the outside and competing in a way without actually, directly kind of stating that that's what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's like they're competing without actually going head to head. Their competition is like, we're gonna do our own thing, and we're gonna be like the only people that do this. So anyone that likes this stuff is just gonna come to
Yeah.
us, rather than like doing the console wars battle of old, where it's just like, all right, like we're gonna do Sony, Microsoft, just round after round, and see what's going, have that little back and forth there, whereas they're like, yeah, we're going to offer something else like on the side that if people like,
Hmm.
and obviously people like it a lot, we'll have our audience and not have to worry about like kind of what anyone else is doing, as long as we're keeping up with um,
What they're
right,
doing
the
and
model
doing it
that they
well.
have
Yeah,
developed for themselves.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Nintendo does specifically, just because they kind of always come out of left field with this kind of stuff. I definitely expect like at least a more powerful version of the Switch next from them, but we'll see where it goes ultimately. Like I know I said like you know, I don't think these console wars are really a thing just because of where we're at and the markets that each big developer is really trying to hit all seem to be different places. And then, all the third party stuff, like I said, it's almost not even worth talking about because we're kind of just at the point where it's like, okay, well, I want to play Call of Duty with my friend. It doesn't really matter what I get it on because it's going to work either way because crossplay is becoming so prevalent in multiplayer games that it just becomes, almost irrelevant to bring it up that point of like, okay, it's pretty much just pure preference at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and yeah, like like you said, like Call of Duty, like there's certain games that are just not going to be like the Switch just isn't going to get into, and like uh,
Yeah,
certain
exactly.
games are just going to be
Exactly.
exclusive to, I guess, like the consoles of old, and that's
Well,
fine.
the Switch too is like, you know, the Switch also does a great thing where it carves out a space as like the Switch is the best place to play indie games, pretty much. Unless they're being like, unless in a quote unquote indie developer is being like bumped up by these major publishers, like similar to like the situation you mentioned earlier with Cuphead. Um, like it's gonna be on the eShop, the Nintendo eShop, and it's gonna be available on the Switch because it's very easy to develop for the Switch, apparently. Is after like talking with game developers before, that's what I have garnered. And it makes sense. It's the most low powered of the three boxes right now, and so it makes sense that it's easy to develop for it and it's like, oh, okay, if a small studio that doesn't have a lot of resources just wants to get their game out there on a platform, it's like, oh, okay, throw it on the Switch. People can play it wherever, whenever, and you can also sell it at a pretty low price to try to bump up those uh those purchases, which leads to a whole nother thing where I kind of have an issue with the eShop because while it does have a ton of indie games, there's also a ton of shovelware on the Nintendo eShop, but just, stuff you never really even know what it is or play it. But, on the flip side of that, I have also found cool games like, oh my God, what was it called? Was it called like Astro Bears? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my God, it's essentially like Snake, like you play a bear in an astronaut suit and run around a planet creating a trail and you got to try to get the other bears to run into your trail. It's fun. And I got it for like 39 cents on the eShop one time. But
uh,
yeah, well, I'm also just interested to see, where it's going to continue to go as the next gen moves on because, we're not really too far into it yet, you know what I mean?
the lifetime of the eShop.
Not even the eShop, like the next gen, like the next
Oh
generation
yeah, I
itself.
mean some people aren't even into it at all.
Well, exactly. They're so hard to get. So and like not only that, it's they haven't even really developed any games like exclusive for these platforms, right?
Right, and I
It's
think
like
they won't until you know it's it's not at the point it is now, where it's like the only way to get them is literally to get like a Twitter notification that there's like a drop going on, and like
Yeah.
you'd have to
Yeah.
spam click to hope to like get it. Once it's more accessible, I think then it's like, okay, now we can actually like make exclusives for it. Although I don't know, like the last gen, like when we were switching over from the 3 and the 360 to the 4 and the 1 for Xbox and Sony respectively. Like I don't know how long it took until they were like, we're not making last gen games like anymore.
Yeah. And they've kind of said like they're doing a lot to try and support the last gen, just with all these things like game boost and like frame bumps and all these things that they're like, "Oh yeah, like we still want to support the last gen and make it so that the people who with the next gen can still play those games and still feel like it's better on your new shiny hardware." You know what I'm saying? But it's like at the end of the day, it's like I don't know where it's going to go because we're so new into it. Because like I don't think there is I really don't know of any game that's been put out yet that's like an Xbox Series X exclusive, or even other than Halo Infinite, which doesn't even really count because that's also just going to be available on PC. Xbox kind of nuked their exclusivity on a console just by making things. Their exclusives are now exclusive to Xbox and PC because they're Microsoft. They got Windows. Like, what are you gonna do? Um,
Right.
whereas whereas you got PlayStation 5. The only real like PlayStation 5 exclusive that's popped out so far is the Demon Souls remake. Um, I think the real first like PS5 game that's gonna be put out there is this Ratchet and Clank game that's coming out in June because that's gonna be PS5 only. Um, but then on the other hand, despite Microsoft's foray into their own sort of market corner, like they're also doing things like buying all these big studios, like Bethesda, like we mentioned a couple episodes ago. Like it's going to be interesting to see if Elder Scrolls 6 is only an Xbox game, or the next Fallout game, or if Doom it only stays on Xbox going forward, things like that. So as much as I think these console wars are spreading further and further apart, it we're at a precipice point where we're going to see if the competition ticks back up again, or if these giant publishers will stop, playing petty and sort of, give the win to the consumer more often than not. Because the third party developers are already doing that, as we've discussed, but it's interesting to see where they'll go.
Right. And like we talked about, most of the time it's not going to make sense for third party developers to like not make their games available for all platforms.
Well, that's what makes them third party developers,
Right.
You know,
So
they don't want to be tied to any one platform because to them that's just way less money they could make.
right. I mean, and that's why Bungie dipped left under Microsoft's wing initially because they were like looking at what like Gears of War was doing, and
Oh, dude, I can't like. Was Gears 4 and 5 even good? I forgot Gears of War was even a thing. I
I
guess that's
didn't
an
even know they
Xbox
had. I didn't know
exclusive.
they had 4 and 5. I had only heard of the first three.
Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. Like what come on Xbox. What you got? You don't got no Crash Bandicoot. You don't got no Spider-Man. You don't got no Ratchet. What you got? You got Fable? When was the last time a Fable game came out? Come on now.
Lot of Xbox slander on this podcast today.
Yeah, it tur- turned out that way a lot quicker than I thought it was going to, not gonna lie.
Um,
uh, This we're if you couldn't tell, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna very much so become a like primary PlayStation podcast because now that's both the ecosystem we're gonna be in. So we'll do our best, but we'll see what happens. You still got the one though, so we'll still be, and I got the PC, so we'll still be able to like dabble in the Microsoft side of things, you know?
Yeah, no, I still got the one, and like I won't be, I'll keep that as I've kept all my consoles through the years. I might even get I've considered getting Black Flag actually for the one. So
It's a real good game, dude. I'm
yeah,
telling you.
so
It's like it's the best one you can get for Assassin's Creed. Again, other not we got to do an Assassin's Creed episode. We keep talking about it.
I mean, hey, I have some of the old ones I can play through on the 360, and then yeah, Black Flag. If I'm gonna get one, like that's the one. I didn't get anything after AC3, so I've been pondering that the
hmm
last like week or two. It's like I think it's like $25 or something. Like on,
Oh yeah.
so it's not too pricey. But then again, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna have. I have to make time for a lot of games now that I'm gonna have God of War in like 2 or 3 weeks. So I guess now is the
Dude,
time to play stuff.
there's again, we keep going back to we keep going back to this console exclusivity thing, but it's like there's so many good games on this PlayStation Plus collection, man. Like you got, you know, got The Last of Us in there, Ratchet and Clank, Infamous, God of War, Uncharted 4, like ah, my guy. You came to the right place. And I can't say, oh, you know what we can also do now that you got a PS5? We can play old school zombies because one of the PlayStation Plus collection games is Black Ops 3 Zombies Edition. That comes with all the maps.
See, but
And then me, you, and Trevor can play.
why not just try to get to around 50 and Outbreak? Is my question.
Because Outbreak is trash, bro.
Oh my!
I'm
Oh,
sorry. It's like, it's not trash. It's fun, but it's like, I don't care about Outbreak, honestly. I was like, it's so not. It takes way too long, dude. It takes way too long.
bro, you gotta have a system. Dude, Trevor and I, when we got to around 36, we had a system in place. We were booking it through the rounds, and sadly, a connection error stopped our journey. But we were going, like we were down to go, like pretty far, and we got stopped because technology doesn't work sometimes.
You hate to see when that happens. You really do.
It was pretty demoralizing, but uh, and no one, I don't think anyone's played Outbreak since then, so the record still stands. But that took a lot out of us, so it's gonna be a while before we get back into that.
That's why I'm saying, dude, we can just run it back on some Kino, Der Toten, some Ascension. Come on, dude, those are the best maps.
Dude, I don't know what
From
you're talking about. I
oh my God, you
I only
yes, it's
played
gonna happen.
Transit on Black Ops 2 prior to Cold War, so this is all
Oh
new to
well,
me.
oh well. Get ready, son, because we gonna play some more zombies. But yeah, I don't know. That's. Do you got anything else to say on the console wars? I feel like we kind of, covered a large swath of different topics in this kind of framework for this episode. But like I said, ultimately, I historically in the last couple of years, I don't really think it's been as competitive. But with these new consoles out and with them being in such short supply, we'll see what these big boys do in terms of keeping their market shares up. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited for the future, rather.
Yeah, especially yeah, once these like next gen titles kind of get underway. Next, I don't know when that'll start, but uh, could be next year. We'll have to see if people are able to get their hands on them without having to resort to clicking shenanigans.
Yeah, I'll help another friend out if they want another PS5, but like I already unfollowed all the accounts at this point, so
Yeah.
so
Um,
might be taking a break for that. It's annoying too because I gotta keep like an extra $500 in my checking account on the off chance that I can find one, and then on all these different retail accounts that I've made, I also gotta input Lucas's address, which is a whole thing. Ugh, ugh,
yeah.
it's whack.
And it didn't even work for this one because it was in-person pickup only.
Yeah, yeah, so annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I think that about covers it. What do you say?
I think so. I think we kind of hit a lot of the points we wanted to get to. I'll have to go to work within the hour, which is big sad because
That's dust, bro. That's big dust.
yeah. But I mean, I'll be I'll be gaming tonight if you're awake. But
Yeah, yeah, I'll probably be up and about. Paige is back home in Massachusetts for the next week, so I'll probably be a degenerate gamer in the interim. So,
hey, that sounds like a grand old time. We'll
oh, absolutely,
hang out tonight and
absolutely.
yeah. Well, how
We got to get some golf with your friends in there, dude.
oh my god. Ah, those that game infuriates me.
Love that game.
Um, but yeah, we'll have to get a squad going, hanging with friends. We can brag about being next gen now, and all those
Oh, of course.
peasants stuck in the
All the
past.
plebes. Yeah,
But
yeah. We'll definitely do
yeah,
it.
some of those peasants will probably be like liking and commenting our Insta posts. So I love you guys. Don't take that the wrong way. You guys are a very valuable part of this process, and we greatly appreciate the support you have shown us in the past, and will continue to show in the future.
Yes, please, guys. Please, please, please follow us on Instagram. That's going to be our main sort of way to communicate and, you know, talk about ideas, post updates. Uh, you know, at game chat underscore Tom Lucas on Insta. We're gonna put it in the episode description as well. But yeah, definitely follow us on there. Um, we've got a lot of different ideas for content we want to do. Some of it we need to acquire the hardware to make it happen, set up a YouTube account, things like that. But we're gonna try to do a couple of different things. Game reviews. We're going to start inviting guests on to talk about different things. So we'll have our friends, and it'll be more of a round table than just a back and forth between the two of us. Um, you know, and tell us what you want to see. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, we really, really are looking for any ideas. We're open to any feedback you might have. So please, please, please comment, like our posts, share our podcast with your friends. Even if they don't like gaming, I've been told by my dad and a couple of other friends that they don't know anything about gaming, but they've been enjoying the show. So, you know, share it to whoever. It means the world to us. Um, but yeah, yeah. At game chat underscore Tom Lucas. You got anything else, my friend?
Uh, I guess all I got is we'll be using the funds that we have made, 55 cents currently. We'll be investing in some new hardware, like some top quality mics, so
Oh,
this sounds
absolutely.
better. We're gonna buy a Jamie at some point. That's on the list. Uh,
Yep, yep. We need a fact checker.
so yeah, we'll be making this even better as we go.
All right. Well, with that, we will see you 2 weeks from the time that this posts. So our next episode will be coming out more than likely on Friday, February. Oh my God. Friday, May 28th, 2021. Don't get it twisted. Keep it locked at game chat underscore Tom Lucas on Instagram. Look out for us. We're gonna make it big. This is Tom,
This is Lucas.
and we are signing off.